Funniest thing that happened to me was walking into Channel 5 one day, and I said, Wallace, I found the cat.
Well, first I met Wallace on TV, like we all did, watching television growing up. I was born in 1953, and I just was, I guess, weaned from watching the Wallace Ladmo show. And one day we were playing softball in the Acadia neighborhood, Acadia Lane to be exact, and Wallace walks up to us. We're in the 6th grade, and says, do you guys know who burned down the fence in the house we just bought? And wow! God's moving into our neighborhood. This is amazing. What's going to make this even better, he has 2 daughters. One in 6th grade and one in 5th grade. We're thinking, well, this is heaven. We dive into heaven. Wallace is in our neighborhood. God's is living down the street. So that's how we first met. We played a lot with Danny and Carrie and Tony and hung around the house. And we just grew up hanging out with Wallace in the evening and watching the show at 4 o'clock in the afternoon after school. We'd run home and watch the Wallace show. It was a ritual every day, and the Ladmo show at noon. And then in the summertime, summer after 8th grade, Wallace encouraged me to be athletic and play football. We would go out and run laps and work out, lift weights and box with Mike and Bello and Ladmo. Pat would come once in a while. This is the summer of 1967. And so I went out to the football. I went out to the football team thanks to their encouragement. Because I was a wimp. I wasn't going to play football, but I made first string thanks to the encouragement. So anyway, along comes my involvement in the theater business, and my dad taught me well about how showmanship should work in the auditorium and projection booth and how to promote movies. So Wallace, Bill taught me how to run contests, how to run the showmanship, that into the business. And honestly, I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating, but if it wasn't for the Wallace show, I would not be in business today. Our country would not survive through the 70s and 80s. A lot of folks think that I'm just patronizing the situation, but it's not true. It really didn't happen. We were going to go bankrupt. We were supposed to go out of business. About 6 national theater chains all pounced into Phoenix and tried to put me out of business in the 70s and 80s. And what would save me is, and this is, to give you an example, between 1973 and 1978, my father passed away in 74. We got only 5 first-run blockbuster movies in our theaters that whole 5-year period. Bambi, Outlaw Jones and Wales, Escape to Witch Mountain, Walking Tall. Yeah, and then I think the 5th one was another Disney. It was a reissue. It wasn't Fantasia. It was, I think, I'll come to me later. Well, promoting them on the Wallace Ladmo show, what made those work? And that's how I was able to make payroll the next day. By being on the show, stuffing the tickets in Ladmo bags and giving away prizes and things like that, made business perk up on the weekend, and my payroll checks wouldn't bounce on Monday. Thanks to the Wallace show. And Fantasia was the absolute crowning, amazing phenomenon of all, because Fantasia, the old Fantasia, the first one that Disney created in 1942 as the first terrifying movie ever made, would come back and play Phoenix like a symphony. It always had a finite amount of attendance. It played the Palms, the Bethany, Capri, the Kachina Theater, and finally, after filing a lawsuit against Walt Disney and begging them to play Fantasia, for us to play Fantasia, they finally gave it to me in May or April of 1982. We had a big contest. You draw Mickey Mouse, win a chance to win a Herbie mini card, go to Disneyland, and all the showmanship we couple weeks, and it worked. And Fantasia at Camelview was the highest grossing engagement in the whole country. It was just amazing. And the previous engagement, which was at the Cine Capri, I didn't own it at the time. We didn't get the Cine Capri into our chain until about 7 years later. We beat that engagement just hands down, 5-1, and our admission prices were lower. And we still beat that engagement. All because of what Wallace did for us, and Pat, Ladmo, and the whole show. It was just phenomenal. So I owe my existence in Harkins Theaters to the Wallace Ladmo show.
Two of my most prized possessions. One is my lifetime pass to the Harkins Theater. And my membership card to the Harkins Theater. Can you explain to me that this is also good for free parking? Is that Good. Oh, there's something that I wanted to mention. I guess you'll be finding out about this for the first time. I read some of the stuff you wrote, and my lawyer is going to be calling. Why aren't you up here again? I'm going to turn this over to Pat. He'll get this Q&A going.
Listen,
You sued
Pat.
Walt Disney? It's like you're some kind of commie anarchist. I appreciate the past, but for God's sakes, we're saving a multi-million-dollar organization, and we get to go to the movies every once in a while. Ben,
Yes. Actually, I do have a story I'd like to tell. When I first started working on the stage plays in the Wallace Ladmo show, and this was all based out of a thing where I had written a one-man show about Barry Goldwater. Pat came to see it, called me back the next day and said, "Have you ever thought about writing something about the Wallace Ladmo show?" And this light bulb went on in my head. I said, "God, that's great, what a wonderful idea." So I started trying to work on it. Initially, I was trying to tell all 36 years in the course of one play, and it was taking me a long time to get a handle on what the story really was. In the meantime, I'm getting anonymous messages in my phone answering machine from this guy. Just messages like, "How long does it take to write a play?" And then I got the first act written, and we had kind of a handle on the story, and I felt like things were progressing pretty well, and then it was, where was Act 2? So both of these guys were double teaming me to the point that I went to lunch with him one time, and I wasn't hungry, I wasn't going to eat, and he keeps going, "Oh, come on, eat something." And I said, "No, I'm running out." "Well, just pick up the menu, maybe you'll see something I like." I open up the menu, and this note slides out, and it says, "Act 2, question mark." But the topper of this whole thing was, and I can tell you guys this story, I won't use any names, this is an anonymous thing, the actor's not here with us today, unfortunately, but if you saw the first play, you know that we were kind of fudging reality a little bit, and the fact that it was set in 1964, but the set we were using was from the 80s because it was more interesting looking, and when we cast the actors, we were looking at more of that sort of late 1970s, 1980s look for the actors as well. That's how they were costumed, and that's, basically what it was. So, the actor who was playing Wallace was not like the Wallace of 1964. He was much more like the Wallace that we know and love today. I'm in my home, and the doorbell rings. I go to the door, and he's standing there with a picture of him looking like Charles Atlas. And he says to me, "This is what I looked like in 1964. He turned around, got back into his car, and drove away. So that's my little bit.
I have to say, I really mean it when I tell you that we're having so much fun. We just spend all day with you. But you've got other things to do, and if you've got a question, may I just tell you, please know sincerely how much we appreciate this big auditorium full of people laughing, particularly at the thank you so much. Wait a minute, Dan. Wait. The kid had a question. All of a sudden, well, the kid is going up here like this and Father says, Dan, you don't worry about with that. Did you have a question? Well, I forgot the answer to yes.
Yeah, last time you were up on the stage here, at least that I saw you, you related how Buffalo came about. I wish you related that story again because that was so great.
So I guess I probably got it something the same way then. Because we have alternate endings to almost every story. I mean, this is long before Homie the Clown or long before any of those cartoons. There was Buffalo. And in truth, most of the characters came out of incidents that we went into, and often Wallace, as a collaboration, we all added things to the characters. But in this case, we were invited to the honorary ringmasters at Ringling Brothers Circus. Now, there's hardly anything more magical than the name Ringling Brothers Farm and Bailey Circus. Greatest show on earth. And we went backstage, and we were getting ready to go on and be introduced by the ringmasters, our honorary ringmasters of the day. And they got some television promotion out of it, and we got a chance to come out and introduce the first act. And we're backstage waiting to be introduced. And all of the clowns were backstage going, they were smoking. They were... I mean, it was just the most unbelievable lot of angry guys. And these were the guys that in about 4 minutes were going to come on, hey, yeah! And they were mad at us, and they didn't want to be up for the matinee, and they had a bad night the night before, and they had hit the lounges on Grand Avenue, you know, and well, that's all it was. We got back to the station and he said, you know, we really could use a clown. It started out as Bozo. Bozo's hilarious. Why did we ever change it to Bozo, by the way?
Bozo was just like a one-time gag. It just didn't wear well.
Anyway, thank you for asking. Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Sure.
This is really for Bob and Bill. I have really two questions. But when you see the clips that we just saw, and you see clips of all the shows, do you guys remember the times that you actually shot those shows?
I saw a couple today. I do not remember which one for you.
Alien. Please know that it's terrific to watch as a member of the audience and to enjoy it for the first time. We ran something on the Sunday show with Marie Osmond.
Right.
Captain Super opening the door and coming downstairs and discovering that Marie Osmond was sitting there. And he just made a fool of himself. He put a cape over his face. He's embarrassed and he's a huge fan. I've never seen Marie Osmond in my life. No, I have no idea. I never remember any of that. Are they that new to